In the dusty heart of Montana, where the endless prairies kiss the jagged peaks of the Rockies, lived a young woman named Eliza. At 25, she towered over most folks in her small town of Willow Creek, her frame broad and strong like the ancient oaks that lined the riverbanks. But in a world that prized delicacy and daintiness, Eliza felt like a misfit puzzle piece, forever jammed into spaces too small for her spirit. One sweltering afternoon, as the sun baked the earth into cracked clay, she overheard her family's hushed whispers in the kitchen. "She's too big for this ranch," her father muttered, his voice heavy with regret. "We can't afford to keep her on. The buyers from the city want petite workers, ones who won't eat through the feed or scare off the horses." Elisa's heart shattered like glass under a boot heel. They weren't talking about livestock, they were talking about her. In desperation, her family had arranged to sell her services to a distant factory, trading her labor for a pittance to save the failing farm. Abandoned by those who should have cherished her, Eliza fled into the golden fields, tears blurring the horizon. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of crimson and gold, Eliza wandered aimlessly along the winding dirt road that led out of town. Her boots kicked up clouds of dust, each step a reminder of her perceived burdens. She had always been the big girl, the one who could haul hay bales without breaking a sweat, mend fences in the dead of night, and comfort her siblings with bear hugs that enveloped them whole. But society whispered cruelties, too tall for dances, too sturdy for romance, too much for a world that favored the fragile. "Why can't I just fit?" she sobbed to the empty plains, collapsing onto a weathered fence post. Little did she know, fate was saddling up a surprise in the form of a lone cowboy named Jack Harlan, riding in from the west on his trusty Appaloosa, Thunder. Jack was no stranger to hardship. A widower at 32, he'd lost his wife to a sudden illness 5 years prior, leaving him to roam the open range with a heart as vast and empty as the sky above. Jack spotted Eliza from afar, her silhouette stark against the fading light. Something in her slumped shoulders tugged at him, a silent call he couldn't ignore. Reining in thunder, he dismounted with the grace of a man who'd spent his life in the saddle. "Ma'am," he called out gently, his voice carrying the warm drawl of the American West. "You look like you've been carrying the weight of the world. Mind if I join you for a spell?" Eliza lifted her head, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. She expected pity or judgment, but Jack's eyes, deep blue like a mountain lake, held only kindness. He settled beside her on the fence, his weathered hat tipped back, revealing a face etched with lines of quiet strength. "Name's Jack," he said, offering a calloused hand. "And you?" "Eliza," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. As the stars began to prick the darkening sky, she poured out her story, the family's financial ruin, the overheard conversation, the crushing sense of being too big for her own life. Jack listened without interruption, his presence a steady anchor in her storm. When she finished, he nodded slowly. "Folks can be blind to what's right in front of 'em," he said. "But size ain't a flaw, Eliza. It's a gift. Out here, the land don't care for small things, it needs the strong to tame it." His words were simple, yet they sparked a flicker of hope in her chest. For the first time, someone saw her not as a burden, but as a force. The next morning, Jack offered to escort Eliza back to her family's ranch. "Ain't right to face this alone," he insisted. As they rode side by side, her on a borrowed mare from his pack, Eliza felt a strange lightness. Jack shared tales of his own trials, how he'd been orphaned young, built a life from nothing, and learned that true worth came from within. "I once thought I was too broken to love again," he confessed, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "But the heart's like this land, resilient, always ready for a new dawn." Their conversation flowed like a gentle stream, weaving through laughter and shared silences. By midday, they arrived at the ranch, where Eliza's family awaited with anxious faces. Her father stepped forward, hat in hand. "We didn't mean to hurt you, Lisa. It was desperation talking, punto." But before Eliza could respond, an unexpected turn unfolded. A telegram arrived from the city buyers, carried by the local postman on horseback. The factory deal had fallen through, economic woes had shuttered the place overnight. Panic rippled through the family, without that money, the ranch was doomed. Elisa's mother wept, her siblings huddled in fear. It was then that Jack, the stranger who'd become an unlikely ally, stepped in. "I've got a spread up north," he said, his voice steady. "Bigger than this, with room for growth. Been meaning to expand, but a man's only got 2 hands. A turned to Eliza. What say you come work with me? Not as a hired hand, but as a partner. Your strength is just what the place needs, and truth be told, my arms have been empty too long. Elisa's eyes widened in profound realization. This wasn't pity, it was recognition. Jack saw her wholeness, her potential, in a way no one else had. The family, looked to her. But what about us? Her father asked, voice trembling. Jack smiled faintly. Family sticks together. Bien et mal. The land's big enough for everyone. In that moment, an act of selflessness bloomed. Jack, who had wandered alone for years, opened his world to strangers, driven by the simple power of humanity. Eliza felt a surge of emotion, tears streaming as she embraced him. You're just right for my arms, he whispered, holding her close, his words echoing the unspoken bond forming between them. The climax came swiftly, like a summer thunderstorm. As the family packed their meager belongings, a neighboring rancher rode up with news of a hidden spring on Jack's land, untapped water that could irrigate acres, turning barren soil into fertile fields. It was as if the universe conspired to reward their leap of faith. Eliza, standing tall beside Jack, realized her weakness wasn't a curse but a blessing, meant to lift others. Together, they loaded wagons, her strong arms heaving crates that others couldn't budge. The journey north was arduous, fraught with dust storms and weary nights, but each challenge forged unbreakable ties. Jack's generosity transformed not just Eliza's life, but her family's, proving that one act of kindness could ripple outward like a stone in a pond. Months later, under a canopy of autumn leaves, the new ranch thrived. Eliza and Jack married in a simple ceremony, surrounded by laughter and the scent of blooming wildflowers. Her family, now integral to the operation, flourished in ways they'd never imagined. Eliza, once sold off in despair, became the heart of it all, teaching her siblings resilience, her parents forgiveness, and Jack the joy of companionship. As they sat by the fire one evening, Jack pulled her into his embrace. See. You're just right, he murmured. Eliza smiled, her spirit soaring. In a world quick to judge, their story whispered a universal truth. True strength lies in embracing our differences, and the greatest power is found in selfless love. Yet, the tale didn't end there. Word of their revival spread through Willow Creek and beyond, inspiring others facing hardship. Ranchers down on their luck sought Jack's advice, and Eliza became a beacon for young women feeling out of place. She started a gathering circle, where stories of struggle turned into triumphs, reminding all that humanity's spark could ignite change. One unexpected visitor was a young girl from town, tall and broad like Eliza once was, tears in her eyes. They say I'm too big for anything good, she confided. Eliza knelt, hugging her fiercely. Darling, you're just right for the world. Let me show you how. In that moment, the cycle of compassion continued, a testament to the enduring power of kindness. As seasons turned, the ranch grew into a community hub, where selflessness wasn't just a virtue but a way of life. Jack and Eliza welcomed wanderers, shared harvests with the needy, and taught that no one is ever too much. Their love, born from a chance encounter, proved that profound realizations often come wrapped in the ordinary, a dusty road, a listening ear, a heartfelt offer. The emotional peak of their journey wasn't in grand gestures but in quiet transformations. A family redeemed, a heart mended, a woman empowered. In the quiet evenings, as the sun set over the Montana plains, Eliza would reflect on that fateful day. What began as rejection blossomed into redemption, all because one cowboy saw beyond the surface. Their story, whispered around campfires and shared in letters across the USA, inspired countless souls to look deeper, act kinder, and believe in the goodness of humanity. For in embracing what makes us unique, we find not just acceptance, but the arms that hold us perfectly.